There is a wood pile in the back of my house. It is not exactly full of the world's prettiest wood. It's from a tree that fell down in my front yard about a year ago. It's just been stacked here and sitting since. And I come out and look at it occasionally, thinking about what it might become. Right now it's pretty gross and ugly, and really isn't all that desirable and pretty. It's got notches in it, it's got cuts in it, there's holes in it because there were worms in the tree. It's undesirable, if that's a good way to put it. But it's also beautiful. Sometimes we get into the same rut when we think about ourselves. We look at what's on the outside and say, oh gosh, it's flaking apart. This bark comes off. There's mold growing on it. There's junk all over it. There's holes in it. It's brittle. It's not as beautiful as it once was when it was standing out in the front yard. And we think, man, I guess it's just not valuable anymore. But what's amazing about this wood is what it can become when you put it in the hands of a craftsman. Now, I'm not the world's greatest craftsman, but this board was once sitting on this pile. This is what will be this pretty cool serving tray that has some beautiful different colorations, some inlay, some epoxy resin in it, and it's been smoothed and buffed and finished and beautified and basically transformed in the hands of someone who saw what it could become. I've been talking a lot about potential with some friends lately. What is your potential with God? And there's a little bit of confusion when you think about the word potential, because it makes you think, oh, well, you're not good enough now and you need to be reformed. And that is true, because God takes what is and turns it into what can be. But I do think that it's an important word to think about, because one of my favorite verses in the Bible is Ephesians 2:10. It says, you are God's masterpiece. And you look at this and you're like, well, how could this be turned into a masterpiece? I mean, there's bugs in it. It's brittle, useless, some would say. Well, it can be turned into something incredible with a little bit of skill, a little bit of knowledge in the woodworking sense. When you look at your life the same way, you are God's masterpiece. He is so madly in love with you because you're his, because God made you, because you matter to him. And a masterpiece, I like to remind people, is not something that's flapped together in like 5 minutes. Masterpiece takes forever. Think about some of the most beautiful works of art ever. Do you think A Starry Night by Monet or was it Monet or Da Vinci? Starry Night, it's a beautiful painting. Mona Lisa, all the Sistine Chapel, all these incredible works of art. Do you think they were thrown together in 5 minutes? No, they were not. They were done over a long period of time, and they were done meticulously. They were done with purpose. And I think about that a lot when I think about our life in the hands of the master carpenter, Jesus. How we are being transformed a little bit day by day, justified in him because of his work on the cross, and growing in sanctification. And it's a really special thing to think about how we are his masterpiece. We are being transformed from this to something even more beautiful than this, just by simply trusting the carpenter to do his work. The rest of that verse says we're his masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works that he set up long ago. And so today, if you look at yourself like this, start looking at yourself like this because of what Christ has done for you and what he's doing in you. And this isn't even the finished product. We're going to have some handles on this. We're going to have some more epoxy, and it's going to be nice and pretty, even prettier than it is now. Look how far it's come from that to this. Think about your life the same way. We were once this, and then we got our life in order, and Jesus got his hands on us, and now we're something even more beautiful than we could have imagined, and we're going to be even more beautiful than that. So think of that today if you are feeling more like this wood pile, and you'd much rather be like this. God bless.